بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله أما بعد فإن أحسن الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وإن شر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. So in the last lesson we looked at some issues pertaining to the rightly guided khulafa, and we said that this is a matter of Aqeedah because of the opposition of some of the astray sects like the Rafiq, and they challenge the virtue and the excellence of the khulafa in a particular order. So we have Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman and Ali radiallahu anhum, and we looked at how they took succession of the leadership and the fact that this is indicated in the texts, that the virtue of Abu Bakr and his leadership is alluded to in the texts, and likewise that of Umar bin al-Khattab, and likewise Uthman. And so we discussed some of the issues pertaining to that, and this is in the context of our position towards the companions in general. Our position towards the companions in general. So we finished that discussion, and so today we continue in the same subject area, and Tahaawiyyah then moves on to discuss the 10 who are promised paradise. So he says, وَإِنَّ الْعَشَرَةَ الَّذِينَ سَمَّاهُمْ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ وَبَشَّرَهُمْ بِالْجَنَّةِ نشهد لهم بالجنة على ما شهد لهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقوله الحق وقوله الحق. So the meaning here of this statement is that indeed the 10, those 10 whom the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he named them and he gave them glad tidings of paradise. So we testify for them that they have paradise in accordance with what the Messenger of Allah testified for them. And his speech, his statement is the truth. So here now we see that Al-Tahaawiyyah has now specifically mentioned the 10 and that they have excellence, they have paradise, they were granted good tidings of paradise. And again, this is a matter of belief, right? So the virtues of the companions in general is a matter of belief. The khulafa in the specific order that we mentioned is a matter of belief in that order. And here, these 10 that have been mentioned, these specific 10 that we're going to name inshallah ta'ala, this too is a matter of belief. It enters into the matter of belief. And this is in opposition to the Rafidah and the Khawarij and others, because they free themselves from the majority of the 10 that are mentioned, the 10 who are being referred to here. And also they say that this word 10, this number 10, it's something that it's negative, and we should not really testify for these 10 for paradise, nor should we show some extra loyalty to these 10. Right? This is what the Rafidah, this is what they say. And so therefore it became the creed of Ahlul Sunnah that obviously as part of our belief towards the whole of the Sahaba, it is also from our belief that we testify for these specific 10 for paradise, and that we give them allegiance because these have an excellence and a virtue above the remaining Sahaba. Right? So when these 10 are mentioned, and amongst the 10 obviously are the 4 khulafa, so then there are another 6, and they are mentioned specifically because they have virtue over the other Sahaba in general. And this is because the excellence, they were at the forefront, their love of the Messenger of Allah, They're striving with him in the wars and battles. And so this became a matter of Aqeedah. And so there are a number of issues pertaining to this. And the first of those issues is, first of all, who are these 10? They are Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, radiyallahu anhu, and then Umar bin al-Khattab, radiyallahu anhu, and then Uthman bin Affan, radiyallahu anhu, then Ali bin Abi Talib, radiyallahu anhu, and then Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, Talha bin Ubaidillah, and Az-Zubayr bin al-Awam, and Sa'id bin Zayd, and Abdurrahman bin Auf, and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. Right, so these are 10. Right, so on top of the 4, which are the Khulafa, we have Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas, Talha bin Ubaidillah, Az-Zubayr bin al-Awam, Sa'id bin Zayd, Abdurrahman bin Auf, and Abu Ubaidah ibn al-Jarrah. So now these 10, we say that they are al-ashara mubashara, that they have been granted the glad tidings of paradise. Now it's not because there are only these 10, because we know from the Sunnah that the Messenger of Allah, he also granted many others the glad tidings of paradise. For example, Bilal radiyallahu anhu, and Khadija radiyallahu anha, and Aisha radiyallahu anha, and Uqasha bin Muhsin radiyallahu anhu, and many others. All of them were granted glad tidings of paradise. So this, when we say al-asharata al-mubashara, this does not mean that it is only just these 10 who have been granted the glad tidings of paradise. But the reason why these 10 have been specifically mentioned is because they are the best of this ummah. They are the best of this nation. And also because they were given the glad tidings of paradise in a single sitting, in a single place. Because we have the hadith, sahih, that the Messenger of Allah, he actually mentioned them one by one. He said, Abu Bakr fil Jannah, Umar fil Jannah, Uthman fil Jannah, Ali fil Jannah, wa Talha fil Jannah, wa Zubayr fil Jannah, wa Sa'd bin Abi Waqqas fil Jannah, wa Sa'id fil Jannah, wa Abu Ubaidah fil Jannah, wa Abdurrahman bin Auf fil Jannah. Right? Specifically, he mentioned all 10 in a single sitting, in a single gathering. And also we have another hadith as well, where he gave them glad tidings one by one as they entered upon him in the garden, when he was sitting in the garden. So he said, the first one came and he said, allow him to enter, adkhilhu wa bashirhu bil Jannah, and it is Abu Bakr. And then he said to the next one, adkhilhu wa bashirhu bil Jannah, and it is Umar. Then when Uthman came, he said to him, he said about him, adkhilhu wa bashirhu bil Jannah ala balwa tusibuh. Enter him and give him glad tidings of paradise by way of a tribulation that will afflict him. Now this is a prophecy of the assassination of Uthman radiyallahu anhu. It is one of numerous things that are mentioned. And then he went on to the end. And so the point here, all of these have been textually mentioned in this manner because of their excellence and their virtue, and all of them are also from the muhajireen. They are all from Mecca who emigrated, left their houses, left their homes, left their businesses, left their families, and they emigrated for the sake of Allah Azza wa Jal. So the Rafidah, so now this is the first point then, that these are the 10, and they are not the only 10, but the 10 were specifically mentioned because they are the best of this ummah. They are from the muhajireen, and they have precedence in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Second point, second mas'ala is the Rafidah. We know that they obviously free themselves from the best of this nation, and they are these 10 that we mentioned, and they don't like the word 10. They don't like the word 10. They say that this word 10 is from the rejected words. And, because of these 10 specifically were mentioned, they are most virtuous of the Prophet's companions. And also because the killing of Al-Hussein radiallahu anhu was on the 10th of Muharram. Right? So for some reason they don't like this word 10 because of what it signifies. And however, as far as we are concerned, we make allegiance and loyalty to whomever the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he made allegiance and loyalty. And so when he indicated these 10, gave them the glad tidings of paradise, then how can people come along and then show enmity to them and hate them and not show loyalty to them? Right? It is because of our love of the Messenger that we love them. There isn't any other reason. It's not because, it's not because of the virtues of these companions in and of themselves, but rather it is because our faith and love of the Messenger, and that they were aiders and supporters and at the forefront, that through love of the Messenger of Allah, we love them and we aid them and we defend them and we hate the ones who hate them. And so in reality it is the ones who hate them that should be hated. So Ahlus Sunnah, as we said, we are a balanced and middle nation. We love on the basis of love of Allah and His Messenger, and this is a moderate and a balanced position. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. That thus did we make you a balanced, moderate nation. But when you look at all the different sects, you look at the Khawarij, you look at the Nawasib, you look at the Rafidah, you look at the Shia, the Zaydiyah, and different factions, you see that generally you see that either they will hate most of the companions or they will hate some of the companions, and they will accept some others, and they will show loyalty to some and show disloyalty to others, right? So they don't have a unified position. Some of them might even make takfir of some of the Sahaba, like we see the Rafidah and the Khawarij. So all of this is from their misguidance. But a Muslim, no matter which land he is in, no matter where he is, he announces openly his allegiance and love for all of the companions, and these 10 specifically as well, because these 10 have been specified for a reason. And so again, the Abu Bakr, Uthman, Ali, Talha, Zubair, Sa'ad, Sa'id, Abdul Rahman, and Abu Ubaidah. Why? Because to show loyalty to them is from the religion. It is from the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. And from this loyalty is to testify for them that they are in paradise. And likewise, from loyalty to them is to defend them in any place where they are attacked. So wherever they are attacked or being spoken against, it is from loyalty to them that you defend them and you remove doubts that are raised regarding them. And these doubts which are raised, they are there to basically stir things against them. So a student of knowledge, he should be aware and familiar with the issues that have been raised against some of these companions, like Umar bin al-Khattab and Uthman bin Affan, and things that have been raised against their leadership and their competence and so on and so forth, because this is part and parcel of defending them and showing loyalty to them, and it's something that follows on from love and loyalty for them. So a person must know their virtues, their fada'il, their excellencies, their virtues, the doubts which have been raised against them, and how to respond to those doubts. So we see in the Quran, Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, وَالْمُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. The believers are allies one to another. And He also said, الْمُؤْمِن لِلْمُؤْمِن كَالْبُنْيَانِ يَشُدُّ بَعْضُهُ بَعْضًا. يَشُدُّ بَعْضُهُ بَعْضًا. The believers to other believers are like, or a believer to a believer is like a building. Parts of it strengthen other parts. And likewise, al-Muslim akhul Muslim la yukhziluhu aw la yakhzuluhu wa la yuhqiruhu. That a Muslim is a brother to another Muslim. He does not abandon him, nor does he belittle him. So when does a person abandon another Muslim? It is when he is in need of him at the time in which he needs support and help. So when we see that someone is attacking the honor and the status of the best of the people after the Messenger of Allah. We see them attacking Abu Bakr, we see them attacking Umar, we see them attacking Aisha radiallahu anha, or attacking the honor of Umar, or Uthman, or Abu Ubaidah, or any of them. Then it is wajib that we aid and that we support them. Because this aid, this al-intisar, is from the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. Why? Because we are now aiding and defending and supporting those whom Allah Azza wa Jal has testified to, and His Messenger has testified to, that they are in paradise. So all of this is from the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. It is from al-wala wal-bara, from loyalty and disloyalty. And it is from the requirements and necessity of our love of the Messenger of Allah. So this is the second mas'ala, the second point. Those who free themselves from the Sahaba, and the fact that we show loyalty to them because of our love of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that this is from the deen, it is from wala wal bara, it is from the requirements of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. The third issue is that At-Tahawi said, نشهد لهم بالجنة على ما شهد لهم رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم وقوله الحق. So, if you recall previously in Tahawi's Creed, we discussed the issue of not testifying for any specific individual that he is from the people of paradise or from hellfire. And we said that Ahlul Sunnah only testify for anyone whom the Messenger of Allah he testified for them. And the reason why we testify for them is not because of any, as I said, any virtues that they have, that they were brave and that they were this and this. Not because of any virtues, it is because the Messenger of Allah testified that for them. That's the only reason that causes us to testify for them that they are people of paradise, because of the shahada of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And also, if you recall, we discussed this issue as well, and we mentioned the fact that, when it comes to specific individuals, what is the view of Ahlul Sunnah about saying, for example, that specific individual is a person of hellfire, that specific individual is a person of paradise. And from one of the views that we mentioned, or one of the things that is found with Ahlul Sunnah, is that they say that there was a number of statements basically, and one of those statements was that a person who has become well known in the ummah with goodness, with sincerity, with excellence, and so on and so forth, then it is from the views of one of the views of Ahlul Sunnah that it is permissible to testify for that specific individual that he is from the people of paradise. And this is because the ummah is a witness for Allah upon the earth. And so from the evidences that they bring in this regard is the hadith in which a janazah passed by and the people testified with goodness for that person. And so the Messenger of Allah, he said, wajabat, mean it has become obligatory. And then another funeral passed by, and the people spoke with evil with respect to him, or respect to the deceased. And so he said, wajabat, the Messenger of Allah, he said, wajabat, meaning it has become obligatory. So they said, O Messenger of Allah, what has become obligatory? And so he said, tilka athnaytum alayha khayra, that one, you praised it with good. And so therefore paradise became obligatory for it. And this one, you spoke of it with evil. So hellfire became obligatory for it. And then he said, la antum shuhada'ullah fil ard. He said, indeed, you are the witnesses of Allah upon the earth. So for this reason, this is the view of Imam Ahmad and Ibn Taymiyyah. It's in one narration, and it's also the view of Ibn Taymiyyah and many others, that basically with istifada means that the matter has, it's become known and widespread amongst a large number of the ummah with respect to the righteousness and istiqamah and goodness of a specific individual. In that case, you can say that so-and-so person, he is from the people of paradise. So for example, we would say, people like Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, and Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, and Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, and so on and so forth. And these are people from the people of paradise. Right? So upon that view, it is permissible to specify specific people because it is by istifada, which is something that becomes well known and established. So these 10, now where are we leading all of this to? The point that is being made here is that not only do we have the testimony of the Messenger of Allah for these 10, because he specifically and explicitly mentioned these 10, but on top of that we also have the witness of the Ummah, as in the rest of the Sahaba are agreed and they acknowledge and they are upon this, and also through what has reached us of the reports and narrations and stories and incidents and of these specific companions, that all of this by way of istifada, by way of the ijma' of the ummah, the consensus of the ummah, that there was no one to be found up until the Khawarij appeared who disagreed on this issue, and everyone would love these 10 and would show loyalty for them and would aid them. Why? Because these are the 10 who aided the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal, and all of them passed away whilst the ummah was happy and content with them. So this is the third point regarding that. This now brings us to the fourth or the next issue in the speech of Imam al-Tahawi rahimahullah ta'ala. And so here he says, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنَ الْقَوْلِ فِي أَصْحَابِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم وَأَزْوَاجِهِ الطَّاهِرَاتِ مِنْ كُلِّ دَنَسٍ وَذُرِّيَّاتِهِ الْمُقَدَّسِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ رِجْسٍ فَقَدْ بَرِئَ مِنَ النِّفَاقِ. Which means, and likewise that person who spoke well about the companions of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu, and his pure wives, from those who are pure from every evil or blame or fault, from every evil or blame, and his offspring who are likewise free of blame, those who are free of blame from every rijs, from every evil or blame, then indeed he is free of hypocrisy. He is free of hypocrisy. He intends by this, At-Tahawi intends by this to refute the Rafidah and the Khawarij, and anyone who resemble them in not showing loyalty to the companions and also to the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now from the signs of Iman, from the signs of faith, from the signs of Iman is to love the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum, and to love the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, all of them. And it is from the signs of hypocrisy that you hate some of the Sahaba, or you hate some of the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, or you attack some of them. And so here now, this is where Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, they are distinguished from these various sects and groups because they speak well of the Sahaba. In all of their speech, you find only speech that is goodness towards the companions, towards the wives of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu, and towards the offspring of the Prophet sallallahu, meaning the offspring of Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein and the remainder of the offspring of Ali radiyallahu anhu, because he had many other children as well. So now under this issue, there are numerous points as well. We come to numerous points. So the first of those points is that when he said, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنَ الْقَوْلِ فِي أَصْحَابِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وسلم, that whoever spoke well, when he says al-ihsan, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنَ, the one who spoke well, and he used the word ahsana, which is ihsan, ihsanul qawl. This actually includes both what the heart is feeling and likewise also the speech that you are speaking, because sometimes you can be sat there and you can be thinking certain thoughts. You're not expressing those thoughts, but in your heart, in your mind, there are certain thoughts that are passing by and passing through. So when he says here, وَمَنْ أَحْسَنَ الْقَوْلِ فِي أَصْحَابِ رَسُولِ اللَّهِ, fi ashabi Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, then this includes both of these things. That in the thoughts that are going through your heart and your mind, in the things which you are, you are conversing with yourself and things which are passing through your mind, and likewise what you are saying, then in both of these respects, then there should be nothing but ihsan, benevolence, goodness towards the companions of the Messenger of Allah, and likewise the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so anyone whose heart is like this, then he has freed himself from hypocrisy. And so also the reverse can be understood as well, that anyone who harbors things in his heart, even though if he doesn't express them, but he has feelings and thoughts and notions that he entertains in his heart, that pass through his heart, then he doesn't have ihsanul dhan, a good opinion of them, and he doesn't speak well of them inwardly and outwardly, then it is freed for this person that he has hypocrisy to the degree of his evil opinion and position towards them. And this is why it shows and establishes that it is wajib upon a Muslim that their belief regarding the companions and the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, that it is a good belief, and that he praises them, and that he leaves the issues in which they differed, he leaves that to Allah Azza wa Jal. And he knows that basically whatever they made ijtihad in, and whatever interpretations they made, all of that was for the sake of the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. They intended to please Allah Azza wa Jal, and we don't enter into these affairs. The second issue, second mas'ala, is regarding the wives of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and azwajun Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, at-tahirat. They are 9 in number, and he described them here at-tahirat, the pure, and he means by them, basically he's alluding to the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal in the Quran, إِنَّمَا يُرِيدُ اللَّهُ لِيُذْهِبَ عَنْكُمُ الرِّجْسَ أَهْلَ الْبَيْتِ وَيُطَهِّرَكُمْ تَطْهِيرًا. That indeed Allah desires for you to remove from you ar-rijs, O people of the household, and to purify you with a purification. And what this means is that Allah Azza wa Jal wants to keep them and keep their status and their description to be that they are tahirat and they are mutahharat, that they are purified. So anyone who accused any of the wives of the Prophet ﷺ with anything, then he is a munafiq. He is a munafiq. He is actually a disbeliever if he accuses them of anything. Or, if he accuses them of impurity in any sense. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said, Ya nisa an-nabi, lastunna ka ahadim min an-nisa. O wives of the Prophet, you are not like any other women. You're not like any other women. And the explanation of this is that you are not like the remainder of the women, because you are the wives of the Prophet ﷺ in this life and in the hereafter. And because they are also the mothers of the believers. They have been given this description. وَأَزْوَاجُهُ أُمَّهَاتُهُمْ. That his wives are their mothers. And so they are mothers of the believers, and this title is an indication that they have an excellence, they have a virtue, that they are purified, and that we ought to show perfect loyalty and allegiance to them. And it is not permissible to believe anything about them other than the perfection in their deen that they had. That verse is Surah Al-Ahzab, Surah 33, verse number 6. And now the meaning here, when it is said that they are the mothers of the believers, it is in the sense that they have a status and they have a position and they have excellence, which makes them to be the mothers of the believers. But in reality, it is not in the other sense, whereby where in the sense of in the sense where basically because the Sahaba were not mahrams for the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, so the wives of the Prophet would cover themselves and whatever. So it's not in that sense, in the sense that we speak of in the sense of the mahram, someone being a mahram. But the title here, Ummuhatul Mu'mineen fil Makana wal Manzila wal Fadl. Right, this is in this sense that they are the mothers of the believers. And we know that they used to cover themselves from the rest of the believers. So it's not in that sense of other believers being a mahram to them or for them. So that's the second point. And they are the wives of the Messenger of Allah, and we believe in their innocence and their purity. And it is from hypocrisy to accuse them and disbelief to accuse them of anything other than this, because it is takdeeb, it is a rejection of the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal. The third issue is that At-Tahawi said, وَذُرِّيَّاتِهِ الْمُقَدَّسِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ رِجْسٍ. He said, and his offspring, who are free and purified of every rijs, meaning any blameworthy thing. Now, when he used the word al-muqaddasin, al-muqaddas, this word is same as mutahhar, meaning to be free and to be purified. This is the meaning of at-taqdis. It is at-tathir. And At-Tahawi simply used a different word which has the same meaning, because in the ayah it is at-tathir al-mutahhar, and so he simply used the word another word as an emphasis, but the meaning is essentially the same. All right, because the Quran never used this word. It never used the word muqaddas. It used at-tathir. So he simply varied the wording in order to emphasize the actual meaning intended by the word at-tathir. So he said, وَذُرِّيَّاتِهِ الْمُقَدَّسِينَ مِنْ كُلِّ رِجْسٍ. So al-rijs here means al-itham wal-aib. Al-rijs meaning that which is impure. It means al-itham, that which is sin, and al-aib, that which is a fault, that which is blameworthy, a fault. And so we know that from the offspring of the Messenger of Allah there are those whose lineage actually broke off and stopped. Right? Because some of the offspring of the Messenger of Allah, they passed away, like Ibrahim. And, but those who are present from the offspring of his daughters, there are those likewise whose offspring cut off. And there are those whose offspring continued. And they are the ones who today they are known as Al-Bayt or Ahlul Bayt. And the majority of Al-Bayt that are present, they are from the offspring of Al-Hasan and Al-Hussein through Fatima radiyallahu anha, the daughter of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so most of them actually from the lineage of Al-Hasan, the ones which are present. And as for Al-Hussein, there are a very small number who are present from the lineage of Al-Hussein radiyallahu anhu. And so, in short, the point being here is that we believe in general. This point is that we believe in general that the offspring of the Messenger of Allah, the Al-Bayt, that they are purified and absolved in a very general sense. It is a general testification. And we know otherwise that having lineage or ties of lineage is not really something that on its own is a sign that someone is free of sins and things of that nature, and which deserves loyalty and allegiance. Because there could be a person who's from a near relative who becomes an apostate, who abandons the religion, who could become a sinful person, right? So lineage in and of itself isn't the sole thing which necessitates loyalty, right? Because, as we said, that amongst the offspring of the prophets and messengers are those, who were disbelievers, like the son of Nuh alayhi salam, for example, right? So the family tie here by itself isn't something that guarantees someone a position and a status and paradise and whatever else, Right? So the point being is that when we speak of this issue about the offspring, then it is a general shahada. It is a general testification, a general shahada. And anyone who is salih, righteous amongst them, then obviously he has taqdeem, he has, preference, and he has respect, and he has, all of these affairs, his status more than others, because of his affiliation and relationship with the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But the foundation of loyalty and so forth, as you know, it is at-tawheed, it is al-aqeedah, and these are the things which basically necessitate the truthfulness of an individual. So, so this should be clearly understood, that what is intended here is al-istiqamah, which is uprightness. And this is the issue that we are really getting across. So then the fourth point, when we come to the end, is that anyone who establishes all of this, فَقَدْ بَرِئَ مِنَ النِّفَاقِ, that he is free from hypocrisy, meaning the one who has ihsanul qawl towards the Sahaba, to the wives, and towards the al-bayt. Right? Ihsanul qawl, meaning your heart is free and your tongue is free from any enmity, aversion, and any false beliefs or anything animosity towards them, then this person has become free of nifaq, of hypocrisy. And this includes, as we said, nifaqul amali, al-nifaqul amali, hypocrisy indeed, and al-nifaq al-i'tiqadi, which is nifaq in the heart. Why? Because these things clash with having benevolence towards the companions and to the wives and to the offspring of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So anyone, for example, who reviled Aisha radiyallahu anha from that which Allah Azza wa Jal, He freed her from, then this is nifaq i'tiqadi. It is hypocrisy in belief, it is disbelief. Allah Azza wa Jal, He said in the Quran, وَالَّذِي تَوَلَّى كِبَرَهُ مِنْهُمْ لَهُ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ, that those who were basically responsible for this issue of the slander, then they will have a mighty punishment. And likewise, it could also be nifaq, which is just amali, meaning it's not nifaq that takes you outside the fold of Islam, but it's to the degree of how evil your opinion and that you have towards them. Because the sign of iman is loving the Sahaba, and a sign of hypocrisy is hating the Sahaba. And so he said regarding the Ansar, ayatul iman hubbul ansar wa ayatul nifaq bughdul ansar. A sign of faith is loving the Ansar, and a sign of hypocrisy is hating the Ansar. And we know that the Muhajirin, that they have the same thing, they have the same, because he mentioned the Ansar, we know that the Muhajirin have greater virtue. So therefore it also applies that anyone who hates the Muhajirin, then he has nifaq, and anyone who loves the Muhajirin, that he has faith. So for that reason, we say that hypocrisy in action could enter a person's heart. It could be in terms of bad speech, it could be in terms of having a bad opinion towards the companions of Allah's Messenger, or towards his wives, or towards his lineage, his offspring. And so this brings us to the end of this particular discussion. And so after this, At-Tahaawiyyah then goes on to mention likewise the scholars of the Salaf amongst the Sabiqeen, meaning the Tabi'een, whoever followed them from the Tabi'een, and the people of fiqh, and so on and so forth. So again, we will discuss that in the next lesson, inshallah ta'ala. So as you can see, that the Sahaba, and then the Khulafa, the Sahaba in general, then the 4 Khulafa, then the 10 that were granted paradise, then the Sahaba as a whole, then the wives of the Prophet ﷺ, and then the offspring, the Ahlul Bayt. All of them, that this is our position towards them. All of these are matters of belief. And then he will go on and he will mention the Salaf in general, which means obviously the Sahaba and the Tabi'een and the people of fiqh, the people of Athar. He mentions them as well. And inshallah ta'ala, no doubt they are the muhaddithin who gave concern to the narrations of the Messenger of Allah, who carried and conveyed this religion. So we will speak about them inshallah ta'ala in the next lesson inshallah ta'ala. So with that we'll conclude our lesson there for today. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen.